Hi guys, so everything is now installed in the customer vehicle. We had to make quite a few decisions about where things were going to go, and we were slightly constrained by how the customer has designed the van. They've got these brackets on here for the Scorva beams, the IKEA beams that a lot of people use to create a fixed bed in a garage. This is a relay L4, and so there's not quite enough space between where the bottom of the bed goes and where the top of the wheel arch boxing was going to go for the tank to go down the length of the van, which is probably how we'd normally do it. So we've turned it round and put it into the middle of the van. We sell these little 90-degree fittings. They're not standard in the kit, but we do sell them on the website. So if you wanted to come off at an angle, then that just makes the space a lot more compact, and you haven't got pipes sticking out into the van. Auto turn fits nicely here. Ideally we'd like it further back, but of course it's a van, so there's going to be something in the way. There's a big cross member that runs just behind, just here, so it's gone as far forward as we can. And we just take the ducting down, mount the diverter on the wheel arch box. Exchanger's gone up here, so again that's gone on the box. What we've tried to do is leave the customer with as much floor space as possible. The only floor space they've lost is about 150mm in from the wheel arch and essentially this corner section here. Everything else is up onto the side wall or out of the way, so still quite a sort of space efficient system really. Central plumbing unit's been mounted on the wall with the expansion tank sticking out like this. Drain just goes straight out, just one drain out through the floor. Nice and simple. Pump and accumulator mounted on the wall. Splitter, so his cold system is going to come off this one, go off into the van. The hot outlet is this one. This is just so we can demonstrate to the customer that everything's working. We don't normally use blue pipe for hot. That's just a bit we had left lying around. So yeah, so I think we're ready to get it all fired up and pressurized, and then we'll heat some water. So our pipe comes out here into the filter, our 20 psi pump accumulator, and we've gone into an elbow here because this is a customer vehicle. We're really short on space. Then we've gone into a splitter. Now this is to go off to the cold, which is going to be this one. At the moment that's just a bung that's been put in just to bung it up so the customer can then take that off. We've then got this feed all the way around here which goes into the hybrid. So this is effectively the hot inlet with an isolator. You should always have an isolator in case you ever need to work on it or drain it down or whatever. Now we could have, for neatness, gone elbow, along, elbow, elbow and back. But the thing with elbows, we had to use one here. The water's coming along and then it's hitting a brick wall and then having to change direction and then go up. So the reason why these are better rather than the T's is that you don't have that sudden change in direction. The flow can be nice and smooth, smooth. You haven't got that sort of jarring effect of an elbow. So that's why we prefer these over T's. Anyway, got sidetracked. So that's the hot. That goes into the Bobil Hybrid. This is the new sort of higher pressure version. That's going to be our hot outlet. This valve here isn't actually needed. That's literally just so we can show the customer that it's working when they come to pick the van up. We'll take that off and they'll just connect this to their pipe work. But we've got the Bobil Hybrid, we've got the plumbing unit mounted on the wall. That's the expansion tank for the hot water tank itself. There's the exchanger, there's the tank, little circulation pump on here, fuse box, that's not a fuse box, that's the slave box. That's part of the smart controller. That is the fuse box there. We put the fuse box here because we've got our diesel heater, and we've got the 17 amp supply for the water tank. We've got the water pump, we've got the Bobil controller. So we've got three high powered devices, one low powered device. So it makes sense to run a big cable to a local fuse box, and then smaller cables to these. If this was sort of at the front of the van, we'd have to take 10 or even 16mm cables to the other side of the van, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. These cables here are just for testing. That goes off to our battery, so customer eventually will wire up the positive and negative of this fuse box. So this tank is mostly full, but we'll show you how we go about actually pressurizing the system. So same process as if the tank is empty. First thing, the water pump, really you want to put this on a switch in the living area so you can control when the pump's on and when the pump's off. Water pumps here. We've got the inlet into the hybrid open at the moment, so what we can do is close that off and we'll turn the pump on. There we go. You heard a little spurt there from the pump, so the pump's now pressurized all the way around to this section. So this effectively would normally be the tap, so we'll open the tap and what we'll do is we'll turn this on. You can hear that the pump's running now, and in a few seconds we'll just see, there we go, right, water coming out. So all we do then is just turn this off, have a little check for leaks. No, everything looks good. I know that because I pressurized it earlier. So yeah, looks like we're now ready to actually start heating some water. So go on to the smart controller, 21 degrees already, so we'll go water heating. I'll be turning that on. I was going to check that the diverter, the flap is that way, so at the moment the flap is here, so that's heating the cabin, which is what we want as the default. If you wanted to swap that, there is a little switch on the slave board, you can switch it and swap it round. But if I go on, so you just heard the diverter move, so that's now diverted the air to the heat exchanger. Water term has just come on, started to do its thing, and then in a couple of minutes that will have all warmed up and we should be heating some water. The duct sensors just told the smart controller that the air has got to 55 degrees. So you can see now that the water temperature is rising fairly steadily. Circulation pump is on. Circulation pump is on. You can see that temperature is coming up quite nicely. There we go, there's our little circulation pump there doing its thing, and our duct sensor just sits inside this ducting, just detects what the air temperature is doing.